Am I the a-hole for canceling my best friend's bachelorette party after she fired me as a bridesmaid? Gonna try and sum this up the most I can. I am a full-time student, so I am currently living off student loans and what little hours I can work outside of school. I have spent around 1 KOs on my best friend's wedding so far. 350 on the bridesmaid's dress, 350 on the flight home to attend the wedding as I'm away for school, and about $100 on the gift I sent for her bridal shower. The MOH is currently very pregnant and having a rough time. She asked me to plan the bachelorette party. I agreed. I planned it perfectly and had it as a surprise. I messaged the other girls the plan. When they all agreed, I went ahead and booked my idea. I spent, this is on top of the 1K I spent earlier, $400 on a limo to go bar hopping. The bride loves bar hopping. And I booked us a $700 Airbnb to crash in afterwards. As of right now, the other bridesmaids did not chip in. This was out of pocket, but they said they would pay me back later. About a month later, I and 2 other girls got kicked from the bridal party group chat, along with a paragraph from the bride saying we were no longer invited because we weren't honoring her wishes. When asked, she didn't answer what she meant or what we had done wrong. 2 days pass and she adds us back to the chat and apologizes, saying she's just stressed. We all talk about it and made up. Yesterday, same thing happened, except this time I'm the only one removed with a paragraph going off on me, telling me I'm not respecting her or her wishes, that she wishes she never invited me or asked me to be a bridesmaid. When asked what happened or what I did wrong, again, radio silence. Today, she messages me apologizing, saying she's sorry for lashing out and that she'd like me there, but not as a bridesmaid as it would make her uncomfortable, and that I'm not allowed to wear the dress I had already bought, as it's a bridesmaid's dress. I told her I respectfully declined as I couldn't afford another dress as I've already spent too much on this wedding and that I didn't want to make her uncomfortable on her big day. She then lashes out telling me I should just take more from my student loans to buy a second dress. So, with that, I went and canceled the Airbnb and the limo. I told the other bridesmaids what had happened and they agreed it was fair. One of them must have told the bride about the secret bachelorette party, as she messaged me telling me I'm an asshole and I've ruined her entire wedding, as she now doesn't have time to book a new bachelorette party in time, and she nor any of the other bridesmaids have the money or savings to book anything. I also managed to get the refund for my flight, so really I'm only out about $450 for a wedding I'm no longer invited to. Aita for canceling the party and getting the money back? Am I the a-hole for expressing to my in-laws that I don't want to be their server for their family's Christmas dinner? So, I'm a newlywed, and my in-laws are rolling into town for Christmas and staying my husband's and my new house. They mentioned wanting to dine out for Christmas dinner, but I offered to whip up a home-cooked feast instead. Unfortunately, they turned down the offer. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I am currently working as a server in our town, after recently being laid off from my corporate job. Lucky for me, the restaurant is closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas. Well, turns out, my mother-in-law had other plans. She called up my workplace without speaking to me beforehand and asked for me to be their server for their entire Christmas dinner. I found out through my husband that I'd be playing the role of their server for their festive family celebration, and my Christmas gift would be a sweet tip and takeout from my restaurant. Seems a bit odd, especially since our restaurant isn't even open on Christmas Eve or Christmas, and I'd be available to spend time with them on those days. They're scheduling this dinner the day before we close and making it their designated family celebration. I politely declined because, let's be real, being excluded from Christmas dinner while working as their server. That's a hard pass from me. Unfortunately, I was told that I was being dramatic and there's nothing weird about me being their server for their family's Christmas dinner. Thoughts, anyone? AITA for telling my brother that his son is not a monster for not being his wife's emotional support human? My nephew Grayson is 15 years old. When he was 8, his mom and unborn sister passed away after she had a placental abruption. Gray was in the car with his parents at the time it happened, and he watched his mom die. My brother Ken also watched his wife die. It was incredibly traumatic for both of them. Ken fell apart, and so did Gray, but Ken focused more on his own grief and healing than he did on Gray's and ignored Gray's grief further when he decided 18 months later that he was ready to date again. Ken met his second wife, Vera, when Gray was 10, and they got married 5 months into their relationship. Vera told Gray that she would do everything she could to be a good mom to him and fill the shoes his mom left better than anyone could. She joked more than once that she might even be better than his old mom. That, along with Gray feeling like Ken was replacing his mom and doing everything too fast, meant Gray never liked or bonded with Vera. She has tried very hard to get close to him, but he's not interested. I tried talking to Ken about getting Gray help and talking to a therapist himself. My parents always assure Ken Gray will come around in time. A little over a year ago, Ken and Vera's son was stillborn due to a fatal fetal abnormality that ran in Vera's family, which she was not aware of. She ended up needing a C-section because of complications, and afterward she was no longer able to have more children. Gray did not have much of a reaction to the loss. He was open with me that he really didn't feel any grief despite everyone expecting him to. To him, he lost no sibling when his half-brother was stillborn. He was never excited for him or considered him anything more than his dad's baby with someone. But everyone has expected it, and even our parents told Ken that Gray would fall apart in time. During all this, Vera has wanted Gray to be there for her and comfort her and be the son he has never wanted to be to her. Recently, Vera made a greater effort to try and get Gray to be there and comfort her. She confronted him and told him she needed him to be more caring. This happened in front of my parents and my family. She told him she feels like he doesn't care, that he can't even support his family. He told her she is not his family and he won't ever be there to support her. Ken jumped in and said it's like he doesn't care, and that's sick. He then went on a rant about how Gray should be so much more concerned and loving toward Vera, and he called him a monster for refusing to be there for her after the worst loss of her life. I told Ken that he shouldn't talk to Gray that way. I told him Gray is not a monster for refusing to be Vera's emotional support human, and that he expected way too much given the very sour and complicated relationship that was there already. My parents and Ken thought I was horrifically wrong for stepping in. Gray thanked me, and he told me Ken doesn't get that he views him as a cold monster and that he's ashamed of him. Aita,